Hi everyone. Hi guys, how are you? Happy Monday. Is it a beautiful week? What are we expecting? Are we excited? What is happening? I'm sorry I'm a bit late. I had a client call, but I finished that up and then so that I can come here. Let me just see if I can see myself. Or if you can hear me, please let me know in the comments. Sorry, let me hide my. I just need to see myself. I need to see if I can hear myself. Okay. Wait, it's not showing that I'm live. Okay, I'm now live. Okay, we are live. That's the important thing. So, guys, you are welcome to Janita Maya's show. You are so welcome. I don't take it for granted that you're here every Monday doing this thing with me. So asante sana, wewe nyo. Let's just jump right in because I actually have a guest joining in today. He's a very special guest. He's the one who actually came up with this topic. And I said, you know what? I love to learn. I know that you, my viewers or my subscribers, also love to learn. So I said, you know what? Let us learn together. And I feel like that's the way it should be. We're all students of life. We want to make it in life. We want to progress and be something and do something for ourselves. No? Yeah. So today's topic is the US dollar losing value, key insights for the African diaspora on real estate. I hope guys, you can tell me where you're watching in from and then I'll just say a quick hi. But let's have Jason come on the stage. There he is. Hi,
How you doing? How
Jason.
you doing, guys? How are you? How are you today? How are you? How you been?
I'm good. How have you been?
So far, so good. Can't complain. Long time no see, man. First of all, like, subscribe, share the link. Want to get this information out to the rest of the diaspora, the rest of Africa, the rest of the Black world, Nubian, or whatever you call yourselves, so we can get ready for what's coming.
Okay, let's just dive right in. Why this topic? First of all, give us the reason behind it.
Or regarding the U.S. dollar losing value.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have to we gotta go back to the beginning, then, huh? We gotta go all the way back to 1944, Bretton Woods. Um, 2002 was just commencing. Germany had been defeated. Only Japan was left. Um, so the superpowers of the world, they were bankrupt, except the United States of America. At that point in time, the United States of America held 70% of the gold reserves in its bank. 70%. So
Okay.
Bretton Woods, they decided to at this point in time they voted to make the US dollar the world reserve currency, which was backed by gold. At this point in time, that's where they formed the World Bank and the IMF.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they formed the two headaches we're going through right now in the third world.
Yeah.
Um, at that point in time, yeah, the US dollar was backed by gold, but what you could do is you could pretty much all transactions in the world were done in the US dollar. So if you wanted to, you could
Jason, we're losing you a
with the
bit.
Gaul of France. He demanded.
Jason,
He,
sorry,
he
we
didn't
lost
want
you
he
a
didn't want
bit.
dollars for the debt.
Jason, Jason, can you guys hear him? Or it's my network? Oh, Jason.
You can hear me now.
Yeah, but you were buffering. I don't know if it was your network or mine.
Okay, so you guys can hear me now. Type
Yes,
one
we
if you
hear
can.
you.
Okay,
Yeah, guys.
so 1945, Bretton Woods, they vote the U.S. dollar as the world currency to be backed by gold. Coming 1960s, a lot of countries decided that they didn't want U.S. dollar in payment. They wanted gold. America didn't have enough reserves, so they started going into problems. Coming 1970s, became stagflation. Stagflation is when you have high unemployment, high interest rates, inflation's high, and the economy's going down. So America was going into problems. So Nixon took America off of the gold standard. So it was no longer backed by gold anymore in 1971. It was just backed by pure faith, your belief in the dollar. So it's pretty much fiat money. It's pretty much printed out of nothing really. So so pretty much what happened is the US dollar got even stronger because it pegged to the petrodollar, right? So they worked out a deal with the Saudi Arabians in the 70s to start doing all oil transactions or to be done in the petrodollar. I mean, you can only trade them in US dollars when you do oil. So Uganda wants to sell oil to China, they have to get US dollars, right? And exchange it that way and then later convert it back into their currency. So in doing this, US could that's why US sanctions work because everybody uses US money. So if they sanction you, you can't get enough of those dollars to service debt. That's when you become in trouble. But yeah, the US dollar right now, I would say yes. It's not gonna die overnight, but as we know, that's where it's going. Because as you know, BRICS is formed. When they did the sanctions against Russia, a lot of countries, including Uganda at that point in time, they have a lot of their money invested in the US economy, in the US treasuries, right? So when they sanction Russia and they freeze like 300 billion of Russians' foreign assets, 300 billion. The rest of these guys got scared, so they started pulling their money out of the US reserves and stuff like that. The money and gold that they were holding here, they started calling back for it. So that in itself will also, to a certain extent, very minimally, start eroding the dollar. But now you have the BRICS as is formed, where they want to have their own currency, and that BRIC currency is also going to be backed by gold, where we're only the US dollar is backed by pure faith, our belief in it. The BRICS currency is going to be backed by gold. The BRICS is also going to form a bank that's going to be a challenge to the IMF and the World Bank. Because if you know Ibrahim Traore, he refused the IMF loan. Remember, right? They tried to give him a loan and he refused it because I guess he has Russia aiding him now in China. But the BRICS is pretty much for the developed world. They hold 40% of the world economy, and they're probably about 2 billion people. So that's a direct challenge to the IMF, the World Bank, and the U.S. hegemony. And I
Okay.
said we only believe in the U.S. dollar by faith, but let's be real. It's also backed by the military, right? The
Mm-hmm.
military is pretty much what makes the dollar strong. So we find ourselves now in a situation where a lot of people over here they're working on their brains. They're not realizing that the U.S. dollar is in jeopardy. Whereas if it crashes, as we're trying to explain to a lot of people last time, China, Russia, a lot of these countries they have a manufacturing, right?
Mm-hmm.
America doesn't have a manufacturing base. We're a service goods nation, right? All that got given up when Nixon in the 70s visited China and they signed the accord. And they really started trading really in 1979. And that's when all the factory jobs really started transferring over to China.
Mm-hmm.
So if the US dollar crashes overnight and say you wake up tomorrow and a bottle of water is $2, but now it's $100, right? That's going to be chaos overnight. People are not used to that. Me and
Yeah.
you, we're from the third world. We're used to that. People in America, they're kind of entitled. They're not used to anything like that. They haven't been anything that serious since the Great Depression in the 30s. So it's going to be chaos. And it's a
Mm-hmm.
situation where, yeah, everything's in threat because, okay, even if the economy goes down, if we have a manufacturing base, our goods would be cheaper, right? So we can
Yeah.
export them. So that also help us service debt, but we don't have a manufacturing base like that anymore. So if the dollar crashes and we go into debt and the economy tanks, but I'm saying there's no manufacturing to help us recover, and this is the situation we find ourselves in.
Mm-hmm. Stuart is saying, sorry, he's saying he invests in BTC. Is that something you're familiar with?
What is that?
In BTC, Stuart, what is BTC?
To my Bitcoin?
Is it Bitcoin? Is that the abbreviation for Bitcoin? Oh, he says Bitcoin. Oh,
Yeah,
Stuart, you could have just said Bitcoin.
Yes, so there's also been, I mean, it has its pros and has its cons, and that
Mm-hmm.
nobody knows where it comes from, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's built up electronically, right? So what we
Yeah.
notice is when the market crashes, it just goes down out of nowhere. So nobody knows what's going to happen when the market crashes completely with all these cryptocurrencies. So,
Mm-hmm.
but in the brick situation, they're going to make a cryptocurrency that's also backed by gold, right? Well, yeah. So that's the biggest problem America's having now. Our dollars or anything we have, even crypto, is not really backed by anything tangible, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the BRICS currency and the bank and whatever they're doing, they're going to back it by the resources because these are the countries that actually make everything. All right. So that's the situation that they're in now. But
Yeah.
if you really, I could tell you what's going on in the U.S. economy right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Please
sent you
do.
some stuff. I'm telling you some stuff. Like it's getting serious, but nobody really understands what's going on. But in order to do this for me, we're gonna have to go back to the 1990s and work our way up. So
Okay.
you ready for this? Okay.
Please
So
indulge us.
all right, all right. So let's go back all the way to the 1990s. Right. In 1933, they passed the Glass-Steagall Act. In the
Mm-hmm.
Glass-Steagall Act, because of the Great Depression, they separated commercial banks from investment banks. Commercial banks meaning you can go in there and do your daily deposits and stuff like that in a regular bank.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
have the investment bank that goes out and buys securities on behalf of investors and bonds and mutual funds. They separated those two. But back in 1999, the Glass-Steagall Act was repealed. So it was out the door. So now commercial banks, investment banks can now go and buy commercial banks. And in that setting, they now had access to the mortgages of the United States of America, and they
Mm-hmm.
also had access to bankers' deposits. And they would package these and go out and buy risky assets with these people's money, and they didn't really know what was going on. What else I got here in my notes? So they
Mm-hmm.
separated it. They separated all that stuff. As I said, the banks started to buy commercial banks. The dot com bubble was in the 19. Remember, there was a whole bunch, a whole big rush of all these different internet companies going public, but they
Yeah.
didn't have any money, and people just going out buying all these buying all these stocks. And then when they
Mm-hmm.
found out come return looking at the profits, these guys had no profits because they weren't making any money. So that
Yeah.
dot com, and what happened is a lot of retirement pension funds went and bought a lot of these equities, or they bought mutual funds that own these equities. So when it went down to zero, a lot of people's retirements are wiped out. And listen, we're talking about 2000, 2001.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to like a brief recession, and this is when Bush comes in. All right.
Yeah.
When Bush comes in now, he lowers interest rates. It means he's pumping money into the economy, and that's when the housing boom started to take off real crazy in the United States of America. And as remember, I told you, investment banks, they can buy commercial banks, right? So now they now have access to the mortgage environment, right? And also health insurance and insurance companies too. They started purchasing these guys and using those assets to go out and buy risky loans. And in those loans were the subprime loans, where if you had bad credit, you could just go apply for a house. They would work with you, but your interest would increase over time. So you bought a house for probably like 600,000. It was only really worth 300,000. All right, you get the loan from the bank. Whoever gets paid, and you say you're paying $1,000 a month. 2 years from now, you find you're paying 4,000 a month, because now that was just a subprime loan to keep it low. But now you're further into the loan, the real interest payments are going to come. So at that point in time, these people can't afford to pay the mortgage anymore, right? So
Yeah.
everything goes into foreclosure. So many people are buying homes with bad credit. So many banks are going out and taking these loans and packaging them into a bundle and sending them to the general public. The general public buys these loans, not realizing you're buying a bunch of risky loans. And where the economy is, it's not as great as you thought it was. So these people can't make these payments. So everything just collapses into one. Right? So when it comes about August 2007, I think the Fed started to raise interest payments. So now the interest rates are going up even more. And these banks with all these bad loans, they can't service their debt because nobody's paying in the mortgages. So everything starts to collapse. And this is when you have Lehman Brothers and all these guys. Remember, they were
Mm-hmm.
big. They were big into the mortgage crisis, big into investing into the subprime loans and stuff. So they got hit real hard, and the government let Lehman die. And when they let Lehman die, everything, as we saw, everything collapsed because Lehman was invested in so many different assets all around the country and around the world. So everything went massive layoffs as you saw in 2008. So in comes
Mm-hmm.
Obama, out goes Bush, in comes Obama, and Obama, what he does is he gets Congress to pump about 800, over $800 billion into the U.S. economy. All right. So when he does that, that was supposed to stimulate the economy. But I think I was doing an internship at the time, and what I saw was the 800 billion that Obama put into the economy. What it did is all it did was bail out the banks, right? But it didn't bail out the consumers and depositors who lost all their money, right? So the banks got bailed out. They had to pay off a certain specific loan to come back, and the regular people still lost their houses, still lost their jobs, still lost everything. And the thing is, when the banks got the money, they sent that money to Asia. So the American people, it didn't trickle down to the American public that it was supposed to stimulate the economy. What happened is a lot of those funds got transferred to Asia, and you start seeing the Asian stock market start to boom because our taxpayer money invests in all these projects in construction and resources and manufacturing in their country, and that's why these banks are seeing profits and the stock market start to go up. It was all pretty much basic fraud. So now, pretty much what happens now is, okay, economy's coming back a little bit. Jobs are starting to be added back into the economy, but it's part-time jobs. It wasn't full-time jobs. We're still in a situation where, yeah, there's jobs, but everybody's working 2 or 3 jobs to pay the rent, right? And the full-time jobs, they were stagnant. Then comes the health insurance, where typically it was a good thing, it was a good idea, it was supposed to help everybody. And demanded that companies pay health insurance once people work a certain amount of hours. So what happened is the companies got cute and started, people who are 40 hours, they start cutting them at 25 and 30. So therefore they wouldn't have to pay their health insurance, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason why it brought a lot of full time to part time. Those companies turned those jobs into part time jobs, so they didn't have to pay health insurance if they were full time. So a whole bunch of shenanigans are going on. Now remember, at
Mm-hmm.
this point in time, even though 2008 happened, the debt didn't go away. All it did was
Okay.
increase, right? So increased from probably about 114 trillion world debt to now it's probably about 344 trillion. So the debt did not increase. There's a bubble coming in the housing crisis. There's a bubble coming in the even in the car crisis. United States of America, I think they had subprime loans in cars. The car companies are starting to go down now because no, the interest rates are too high because of inflation, and they put the interest rates, it were too high. People took out these loans for cars, and now the inventory is just building up because there's so much repo. So much people are getting their cars repossessed, right? We also have a situation now where the buildings, everybody so in Kampala, right? Most of the buildings
Mm-hmm.
are occupied. In Kampala, you can still go into office buildings, and most of them are occupied, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So in the United States of America, especially in New York, it's not like that. When it shut down and everybody start working from home, when
Ooh.
when when they came out of the lockdown, everybody was still home. So a lot of owners of commercial buildings, skyscrapers and stuff like that, they lease
Mm-hmm.
out to companies. These companies weren't re-signing their leases anymore because it was cheaper for them to have the people at home.
Yeah.
So now you have now all these business owners who own these commercial properties, funds and stuff like that, and they're not getting any lease money, right? Because the buildings are not occupied. So now they're going into problems now where they can't service their debt from the bank that gave them the money to build the commercial strip in the first place. So they're facing foreclosure. So like in New York City, about 40% of those skyscrapers are not occupied. They're not occupied. It's like that all through the rest of the country. So the residential um problem as well is a situation where when it locked down, everybody ran to Texas, Florida, right? Because you work from home now, right? So if you don't want to be in cold New York anymore, so you're gonna go down to Florida and buy a house because you work from home, right? At a certain interest rate. But they were also buying these houses at high interest rates. So now interest rates started to increase even more, right? And they could service that debt because for 2 years a lot of people weren't paying rent, right? So they had
Mm-hmm.
money saved up. They had money saved up. So when Biden came in and inflation was through the roof, a lot of that money that they saved up from COVID, that was it. So now
Yeah.
you have people who can't pay their mortgages, who can't pay their rent. So the commercial real estate is going in problems. The car manufacturing real estate is going in problems. Credit card debt is in problems now because if once you exhaust all your savings, you now go to credit cards, right? So we're at $21 billion in credit card debt, right? So it's just debt. School debt is about 1.3 trillion. Most people over here, they will get a degree, they can't get a job, they have to do something else, right? Most people
Yeah.
over here, they don't do their
What they.
degrees that they graduate with. Most of them don't use them. Let's keep it real, right? So you have all that college debt, your part-time jobs, all that college debt, all this stuff happening, and everybody's going into debt, right? Then we got all these wars going on. We're sending 200 billion to Ukraine, right? You walk in America right now, you walk in New York, LA, Detroit, there's homeless people everywhere because America doesn't take care of the veterans. They don't take care of the people who go and serve for them in wars. Homeless people everywhere. And then you have the illegal immigrant situation that's making people pissed off because they're bringing in the illegal immigrants and they're giving them hotels and housing and food and credit cards and stuff. And regular people out there can't even find work. And regular people out there, you know, they're on the street. If you look in the streets of LA and Seattle, it's just homeless people everywhere. So all that combined into one with corrupt politicians who are controlled by the lobbyists. We're in a serious situation right now, and nobody really understands what's going on. I mean, so in that instance, after Biden, plus you had the forced vaccinations, a lot of people getting forced to take vaccinations and stuff like that. Then in comes Trump, and he's talking about an infrastructure bill where you're going to get an infrastructure bill like Eisenhower did in the 50s, and we're going to invest in roads and bridges and build all this stuff and people to work. That never happened because Congress is infighting. With him, COVID happened, the U.S. economy shut down. But what he did do is he gave out PPP loans, or he pretty much gave out loans to businesses so they could survive through COVID. But a lot of people, even with the PPP loans, they were taking it doing other stuff, buying cars and whips and houses and partying and doing all silly stuff. A lot of them in jail now because the government came for their money and they didn't have it. Right? So now we got
What?
all these wars, all this stuff, even the Trump administration, and Biden comes in, and it's just inflation goes through the roof, right?
Mm-hmm.
The petrodollar that we had, that's now in jeopardy because Saudi Arabia is now taking other currencies in it, right? India and
Yeah.
Russia and China are now trading their own currencies, so that further erodes the U.S. dollar, right? So
Mm-hmm.
okay, even if the U.S. dollar gets killed, as I said, if we have a manufacturing base, that's going to make our goods cheaper. So if we go down, we can still export, but we can't because we don't have a manufacturing base. And this is what Sanders and Trump were talking about in 2010 when they were running, that America has to have a manufacturing base. The lifeblood of any country, it's manufacturing base. The manufacturing base is what people to work, teaches them skills, and they pay into the tax revenue. Right now in the United States of America, we have more debt than we have tax revenue coming in. So we spend more than we have coming in, right? And why? Because the money is fiat. So every time we have to pay more debt, we just keep printing more money, printing more money. But that further erodes the dollar. That erodes the dollar even more. But you know, say everybody over here, to me, like they're on a picnic, right? They don't understand what's really happening. And even in unemployment, what happened was is they for the past 12 months they had to take 818,000 people off. These are jobs that they claim were added that were not added. So whatever number they had for the 12-month period of jobs added to the U.S. economy, they had to erase 818,000, almost a million people off of the job roles because those jobs never existed. So there's all type of calamities going on right now. All the other countries they trade in all different type of countries. As I said, with the investment banks buying the banks, they're doing all type of crazy loans, especially when it comes to venture capitalism. I think Sun Valley Bank just closed down a couple months ago, and they got bailed out because for some reason Silicon Valley is now starting to tank. So there's just all type of problems happening in the United States of America. People are not really realizing was they see something was wrong, but nobody's saying anything to them. They're not explaining it to them, and this is the problem that they're having. That is going to be a situation where when it does tank and the economy does tank, everybody's going to be caught off guard because they have no savings. That in itself also affects the U.S. dollar, right? So you're a dollar backed by nothing. You got the BRICS countries forming a different currency against you, right? You got people pulling out their reserves out of your country back into their country, right? You have a whole bunch of stuff going on with your housing crisis. You got stuff going on. Even the farmland now is in jeopardy, right? You got Bill Gates buying up all the farmland and the guy who owns Amazon, right? You have commercial real estate. You got BlackRock is buying up all these houses. So what they do now, they buy blocks of houses, right? And they own them in the portfolio. And I think they may make them cheaper for somebody across the street who doesn't has a regular house, and just price them out of the market. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on right now that people are not paying attention to. Like there's a big depression that's coming, and America is going to hold the bag and going to be in serious debt. Because if you look at the U.S. economy, as I said, there's 35 trillion in debt, right? You know how much Russia owes? You know how much Russia owes? About 600 billion. 600 billion. You're the United States of America, right? You're going to war with Russia. Both of you have nuclear weapons. And you're 35 trillion in debt. And the Russians, only 600 billion. So you're trying to tell me the Russians have more fiscal responsibility in the United States of America, and we're supposed to be the free leaders of the free world, right? So financially, we haven't been responsible. But now here comes Russia and China. Or both of these guys have manufacturing sectors. A lot of America's enemies are starting to align with them, right? And what America messed up with is they should have did the same thing China and Russia did. They should have went into Africa, right? Start building Africa up, as this is where they're getting the natural resources from anyway, right? And even in that would have protected the dollar. But now who knows what's going to happen? But this, and you have a guy named Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett invests into the market, right? He's cashed out of Apple. He cashed out about 250 million or something like that out of Apple. That took pretty much sold almost all his assets in Apple. So people know something's not right. That caused the market to drop a bit, right? And then he goes in and they say he just made a $200 billion bet against the market, meaning he bet he
Jason, can you guys hear him?
were bad, right? So he bet against it. He bet against it. And when the market crashed, he made a killing. And then he ran to Puerto Rico. He lives in Puerto Rico now. These are the games they play. A lot of these stuff in the stock market and dollar crisis and all this stuff, these are planned. A lot of these stores, a lot of this stuff is you said, well, Stuart said money printing. Yeah. I mentioned that, Stuart. Money printing is a situation where, as I said, when you cut interest rates, you start flooding the market with money, right? As I said before, when you owe debt, America's debt is fiat. Okay? So basically, when they owe debt, all they do is print more money. As they print more money, You flood the market with U.S. dollars, which actually depreciates it. If there's a scarcity of U.S. dollar, what's going to happen? It's going to be strong. If there's an
Yeah.
oversupply, it's going to be weak. And the
Mm.
thing is, the money that they're pumping in, the regular people are not getting the money. It's just the banks getting the money to play games with. But yeah, money
Yeah.
printing is definitely a problem. Right? And
Yeah.
the reason it happens,
Denzel
you can,
said, yeah, sorry to cut you off. You can continue.
yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, Denzel was saying the best cities to live in America is surrounding Chicago and surrounding New York. Best states to invest in is Wyoming and Washington. Is that true?
To invest,
The best cities to live in America is surrounding Chicago and New York, and then the best states to invest in is Wyoming and Washington. Denzel,
surround. You talking about crime-ridden Chicago and crime-ridden New York?
no. I think
These are
he's talking
the
about the places to live in. I
to
guess,
live around those cities.
yeah. Apparently, it's better to live around Chicago and New York, and then invest in Wyoming and Washington.
Oh, he's talking about living outside the cities into the suburbs,
Mm.
and
Mm.
then invest into like middle America. Yeah, I mean you
Yeah.
could do that. You can invest into middle America, but what I'm trying to you can buy, as I said, the best thing for you to do is buy land and hold on to that land, right? So
Yeah.
if stuff hit the fan, you can just go to the land and farm on the land and do something with the land, right? That's the
That's
type of
true.
investment. Hmm? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
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 true.
yeah, that's the type of investing. That's the type of investing you could do. But if you're going around to just buy property and
Hello, Jason. Could you just repeat that again? Kind of went off.
I already just said the renters don't have any money to pay the rent. Eviction notices are
Yeah. You said something. I was taking notes the whole time, but there's something that you said that stood out to me. You talked about Americans don't have their savings. And as an African, I know it's going to sound arrogant, but that's something we can't digest because, like, from the outside looking in, it seems like, oh, Americans are rich and whatnot.
yeah.
They
That's
have
the
all
that's
this
the
money and they have access to all these things. So when I hear the thought of an American not having savings, I'm just like,
this is a country that this is the country that doesn't save. They put a pretty picture out to the rest of the world, right? But I'm sure if you
mm-hmm.
talk to the Africans that got over here, they call and tell you it's not what they tell you it is, and it's not. Right? People unemployed over here. The drugs are all time high. Crime is at an all time high. People unemployed. I'm sure you go on YouTube and you see all the homeless people all over Los Angeles. That's how a lot of
Yeah.
the United States of America looks. This is a country that's the strongest country in the world economically, but it doesn't really take care of the people. The people don't benefit. Most of the money goes to the top 1%. That's where all the
Mm-hmm.
money goes, and nothing really gets done. If you look at the roads, the bridges, and how they're just starting to rebuild them back now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But most of the infrastructure is went to shit, right? So this is a country where it puts a perception like it cares about the people, but it really doesn't. It's all about who's a politician, just like in Africa, who can get money, who could do this, who can scratch somebody's back, and all type of corruption.
Mm. Wow. I guess some things are the same everywhere. The
No,
corruption.
it's the same everywhere. Remember, as I said, it's a big club, and me, you ain't in it. Simple as that. Once you in the club, you good to go. If you're not in the club, we're just the subjects. We're just the feudal system. We're the guys who work for the corporation, right? And
Mm.
the government works for the corporation as well. So we don't have any representation. So that's pretty much what's going on in the United States of America when it
Yeah.
comes to see it. So the dollar's definitely in jeopardy. That's why I tell people, okay, if you're gonna do currencies, you gotta diversify. You're either gonna buy some ruble, you're gonna buy some yuan, right? Some renminbi, right? Other different currencies, and when the brick currency comes in, that's what you want to jump into. Get a whatever type of currency they putting out. You want to have a different portfolio of different currencies, and not just depend on the U.S. dollar. So if the U.S. dollar crashes, you got to hedge against it, and that's what people got to understand. Like it's Rome. We're now in Rome's period where Rome felt they couldn't go down. Everybody was entitled. This is what's happening in the United States of America now. Most people don't think America can fall, and If you look at the Greeks, you look at the Romans, right? You look at the Ottoman Empire, the British Empire, the French Empire, they all fell, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what would stand for America not falling? You see, what the plan was is America was supposed to fall and bring the whole world with it. So when all the colonies crash, they can form and create their one world currency or so-called new world order, whatever conspiracy theorists are saying. But they want like one government, they want one currency, they want the world to be controlled by one. But China and Russia, they're not into that. They want to govern themselves, right? So this is the problem they're having with Europe and the United States of America right now. Is America and Europe, they want to take America into that realm, and China and Russia, they want a multipolar world where the world works together in transparency, builds each other up, does business with each other, no wars, no sanction, and the human race is pretty much grows as the way it's supposed to grow. But it's pretty much capitalists against nationalists. And as I said, it's a big club, and me, you ain't in it. Simple as that. So the best thing I can tell people to do is the US dollar is strong right now. So use your brain. Where is land cheap? You can say this, Janita. Where's land cheap?
In Africa.
Huh? All right, right. You can get 10,000 US and get probably a couple acres in certain places, right?
Yep.
Right. So if you take your
10,000 is
money,
actually a lot of money.
you go to Africa, you buy land in Africa, and you hold on to it, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
shit hits the fan, in the United States of America, you can now go and live on your land in Africa, right? Live off the
Mm-hmm.
farm or whatever and restart and build there because this is where all the investments are coming in. Africa is where all the investments are. China said they're going to commit, what, 50 billion towards Africa now, right?
Mm-hmm.
They help
Yeah.
with all type of,
50 billion.
they'll help with all type, and now it's now zero tariffs. Certain countries gonna have zero tariffs. So if you imagine if you invest in a company in Africa, right? And you can ship to China now with zero tariffs, right? That's going
Mm-hmm.
to be less
Yeah.
taxes and more money, less taxes and more money in your pocket. And I
Yeah.
think
I
the
think
reason
it
why
said African products going to China are going to be duty free.
duty free, right?
Yeah.
In that situation, that actually helps African countries now, right? To retain
Mm.
to retain their money. United States of America doesn't do that. They don't even have trade with African countries. They take the reason they have mining companies that take the resources out, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then make it in Africa, make it in Europe and America or wherever they make. Well, pretty much in China, and then they sell it back to the rest of the world. Where okay, you have in China. Even though I'm not saying I trust the Chinese, right? I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you have other entities that come into Africa, investing money. You're seeing roads built. You're seeing bridges get built. You're seeing skyscrapers going up, right? You've seen a lot
Yeah.
of stuff you didn't have before. You've seen train systems coming through, all this different stuff that's happening in Africa right now. And US is not investing in any of that. US is not
Yeah.
investing in any of that. How is this possible? You're going to make the rest of these superpowers come into Africa and build up Africa, and you're not going to be a part of that because that was never your intention. You just wanted to exploit, keep them poor, take their resources, right? I mean, how can you trade with a country that doesn't have a proper electrical grid? Right? You
Mm-hmm.
don't have no nuclear. You got Russia coming in now, Burkina Faso and other countries, and realizing they have a problem with their electrical grid. And now they're coming in and they're going to build low level nuclear plants, right? So now instead of you getting glitches all the time, now you have free run, not real free running, but you have electricity that's running all throughout the country without any problems.
Yeah.
America, right? And I'm like, America could have been done that, but they didn't because they didn't care. So now you have these countries coming in. Africa is the pearl of the world. That's where the resources are, right? So they're coming in and they're doing what they're supposed to do. At the same time, the diaspora, you can't have the Chinese and the Arabs and everybody just investing in Africa. We have to do it too, right?
Yeah.
We have to pool our resources and go back to the continent and reinvest in the continent and build
Yeah.
businesses. And as I told
Yeah.
them before, when we establish businesses and deal with our brothers in Africa and build it up, we cannot take those resources back to the black communities in America, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have to go to the bank anymore because we have money coming in from Africa, from the continent, investing in our communities. So nobody can really corrupt us, right?
Yeah.
That's simply what they have to do. But a lot of
Yeah.
people, they come to America and they worship America and they think America is all end all, not
Yeah.
realizing it's all coming, not realizing it's all coming to an end. If you have people
Little
who,
by little.
I see a lot of these African YouTubers, they every minute they're talking about Kenya and they talking about South Africa because South Africa and Kenya's infrastructure.
That westernized. Yeah. Uh, Stuart, you're welcome. Before I read any comments, you can just go right ahead. As
And you want to
Jason.
invest in companies that's going
Oh,
to help
okay.
those people, right? You're going to give them more
Mm-hmm.
jobs, right? You want to go
Yeah.
where the You want to go where the competition isn't there, right? So you become the monopoly. That's what you want to do. You don't want to go where like Nairobi saturated, right? So okay,
Yeah.
you can go to Nairobi, but you also have Eldoret and other places, right? South
Kisumu.
Africa,
Yeah.
yeah, there's so many places you can go and set up shop and still build skyscrapers and manufacturing companies outside of that. Now you're catering to that different market. You want to go where everybody's saturated because they got buildings and they got this. As Wadamaya said, if you see a problem with Africa, fix it. Be the person that goes and fix it, right? But I'm telling
Yeah.
everybody right now.
Yeah.
Stop believing. I'm not saying stop believing in America, but these
But
politicians done sold you out.
yeah.
Politicians sold everybody out. Go
Mm-hmm.
to Africa, invest in
Yeah.
Africa. Your little
Invest in
5,000,
Africa.
your little
I
five
like that. Jason, I want Stuart to be able to say something
thousand, right?
before he
That you
he
got an
goes on.
IRA that's gonna go to nothing. You can buy a whole bunch of stocks and start investing in that.
Stuart,
Yeah, you
Hey
can
there.
buy a whole.
Oh,
What's going
sorry.
on?
Oh, sorry. I think your audio keeps dipping in. Like it dips
Can you
in
hear me
and
now?
out. Yeah, we can hear you now. But I wanted Stuart to say something.
Mm,
yes. Hello, guys. How's it going?
what's
It's
going on?
going well. How is it going for you?
Oh, it's going fine. It's going fine. So yes,
Yeah.
I think the gentleman is speaking. I definitely agree with the vast majority of what he's saying about the money situation. I'd just like to add a couple small things. Is Number one is that just so you guys know, the U.S. dollar is still by far the strongest fiat in the world. So it's definitely going down. And projections right now are probably in about another 10, 15 years or so. According to all the financial experts, they think that it'll probably be pretty much in the toilet. But all the other fiat currencies in the world that you guys are talking about, they're even weaker. I mean, all of them. So, and today the BRICS, I just saw that I follow the BRICS stuff pretty heavily. They just postponed their announcement of having a standard currency. Um, so I imagine that'll happen sometime in the future. But right now, I mean, the U.S. dollar, even all fiats, even though they're bad, I mean, the U.S. dollar is still the strongest. And then really the reason why the U.S. dollar is going down so bad, really, even though the housing crisis was a big part of it, but in reality, that's by far not the biggest factor. The biggest factor is that, like the guy just said, um, once we were off the gold standard, and remember, every currency was pegged to the U.S. dollar. So once the U.S. dollar came off the gold standard, everybody in the world was off the gold standard. But what that allowed them to do was to print money for whatever purposes they desired, like the Vietnam Wars, previous wars, all the engagements, COVID money. The U.S. printed, if you were to add up right prior to COVID, if you counted every physical dollar, every $5 bill, 10, 20, whatever, you've counted the amount of money. They printed so much money during COVID and handed it out that they doubled the entire U.S. money supply. That shows you just how much they printed. But because it wasn't on the gold standard, they didn't have to have that much gold on hand to back it. So that's what caused inflation to jack up, and that's what caused everything right now to be so expensive. So with the debt being so high, and right now the interest we don't have enough taxable income to even pay the interest on the debt, yet alone the principal. So that's the biggest reason why the dollar is going down, and all the money around the world is going down, is because all countries they don't have to back their money, which is fiat, by anything tangible like gold or anything like that. So they can just print money for whatever purpose they want. And of course, when you inject money into your economy, it causes all the prices to go up, which causes inflation to happen, and that's why we're in trouble, right? So, and then I just want to make that comment. And then the second thing is that I totally agree also what they say uh, about what your perception is, Jonita, about the United States. I mean, Jonita, you have to remember everything you see is just based off television, just like they told us that, hey, we thought Africa was just a bunch of jungles and things until we started seeing social media. You probably have some of the thought about how rich you think we might be here. Trust me, we're just black people, just like you guys. We might have
Mm-hmm.
some things that are at our disposal, but I'm sure everybody in this call would agree that the vast majority, and I do mean vast majority of Black people here, don't have savings. You might see your Jay-Z and Rihanna's and Beyonce's and LeBron's and all that. That's just a handful. That's a drop in the bucket for those people. But the biggest number of people don't have anything. And then I do also, last thing I'll say, and I'll hop off, is I've been watching a lot of programs too about investing in Africa. I really like what the guy was just saying about investing in Africa and what you say too, because as I told you before, Jonita, is that the dollar is going down, but in reality, for Black people in America, period, I think it's over with the and I think with the migrants coming in, with the automation and stuff that's happening with AI and all that stuff, we really are being squeezed out. If you follow Umar, everybody knows this, that Black people as a whole, forget the money, we are really being counted out. And for the first time, things are at a point to where we really don't have a voice, more so than ever before. So if you want to know where Black people as a whole are headed in America, it's really just look at the American Indian. I think we're headed in that same place. So we really have no choice but to unite and come back home to the motherland and try to do stuff there. Because I think this problem is way bigger than just money. It's our entire future. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. So
yeah. No, thank you so much, Stuart. I will say, I think the key takeaway that I'm taking from what you've said is investing in Africa. I think everyone.
We have no choice. It's not even an option.
Yes, definitely. And I feel like the time is now, because I would say land is affordable. Real estate is now affordable. It's not affordable. Like, of course, some areas are really expensive, but I feel like the time is now. The time to do something in Africa is now, because once people get wind of the fact that Africa is this fertile region, they're going to hike the prices, and that's like my biggest fear. But thank you so much, Stuart.
Could I interject? Could I interject? You still there, brother?
Yeah, he's here.
One more thing before you interject is that
so would you? Yeah. Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, one more thing to the point I just made is that this is for the Black people here in America, is that one thing I've been hearing, which I think is good, is that I've been hearing from a lot of channels, is that coming back to Africa is something that you guys are promoting and we should do. But also for us that think about making that move or thinking about doing that we need to bring something. Don't just show up just to, that's a huge thing we need to hear, because a lot of us will just take our same habits of not generating anything and really dragging down the economy and stuff. And we do a lot of that here. So you want Black people to come to Africa. It's those that have a plan and those that are or at least, willing to hold their own and all that. So I would push that message too, not just move from one neighborhood to the next.
So could I interject?
Sure.
So would you agree with me that you have a lot of these kids that go to college, they get engineering degrees, all these different type of degrees, and they can't get any jobs, and they're sitting out here on their mama's couch, or they gotta do some retail stuff. Would you agree that?
1,000%. I'm an engineer. I got my engineering degree about 30-something years ago, and I tell my daughter and everybody I know all the time that if people come out today, see, that's because of the technology advance, right? They don't need those people anymore. Same thing with the medical field. So you're totally right.
So my thinking is, I figure all the ones who like, what does Africa need? They need stuff for engineering. They need engineers in manufacturing. They need stuff when it comes to farming. A lot of these kids went to school for that. They should just, get some funds and go to Africa and see how they can help out that way. Right? So we have, when it comes to university, we have the talent worldwide. I think Dr. Henry Clark was saying this. He was like, in Africa, all the talent in Africa, he said this in the 1980s. He said all the talent in Africa is outside of Africa. We need those people to come back to Africa with all the experiences and stuff that they have and skills, and come and build Africa, right? So if a dude has an engineering degree or he has a computer degree, right? Instead of, struggling to find a job here, get some funds, go over to the continent, meet who you can meet, and probably start your own company there and start from scratch and build.
I totally agree. Also what you just said, I also heard too that a lot of natives in Africa, they go out to Europe and to America, and they get education, they get a lot of things, and then maybe they too should now look at coming back. A lot of them don't come back. I don't know how true that is. Johnny can probably speak to that, but I think in general you're totally right. I mean, that's when I say it should be people that have something they can bring. Don't just show up with Africa with nothing but asking for handouts. I mean, actually have something of value, because Africa needs people that are on their A game, right? So, but like I said, I don't think we have a choice. I don't think it's even an option anymore. Black people, Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that you say that. I think the time, like I already, I already mentioned it, I already say this. I think the time is now, and you guys need to like pour in as many as you can and invest. But I like what you're also saying about not just coming here to just be another body on the continent and not add anything to society or like be another problem for the government. Yeah, please be of value. Thank you so much, Stuart.
You're welcome. See you guys.
Yeah. And Jason, thank you so
Yeah,
much. I was hoping to get more comments for you to react to, but I'm not getting any. So I think I'll just say thank you so much for
no
coming on
problem.
here.
No problem.
But let the people know that this was actually supposed to be between you and my real estate guy. And then last minute, my real estate guy decided to, well, he decided to go and make money because he had a meeting and he said it could be a
Hey, you
potential
got to.
client. I said,
Hey, listen.
pardon?
You do what you do what you got to do, right? He got bills to pay. I ain't mad at him.
Yeah, I
So
said,
so basically, what we could do when it comes to like the real estate, we could do it next week, right?
yeah. So
So
that's
we
what
can
we're
see
gonna do next week.
we can talk
I'll
about the
just
housing. We can talk about the housing crisis in the United States of America and the real estate opportunities out there in Uganda, Africa.
yeah, yeah. So that's what I was just telling everyone. Thank you, Jason.
No problem.
Hold on. Let me just remove from the stage. Please stay in the background. But yeah, guys, I'll say, listen, Jason is God sent. I thank him every day. I thank each and every one of you who come here and do these lives. You could be doing something better with your time, but the fact that you guys are actively interested in investing in Africa or moving to Africa just gives me so much joy and so much hope and so much energy to keep, to keep doing what I do and to bring more content that is more out there. Uh, Stuart said something that lit a bulb in my head. I actually think I'm going to pursue the idea so that I can bring you guys investment, I guess, videos, if that makes sense. I'm going to see how I can make them. I'll sit down with my editor and then we'll come up with something. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. Oh, Rodney is here. Hi, Rodney. Jason, I'm adding you too.
I'm hearing double. Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of feedback. Hello.
Really? We hear you just fine. There's no feedback on our end.
Hmm. Okay, not sure what's going on mine. Decided to jump on. It's good to meet you. I've seen you on King Ganda 1,000 times,
Thank you.
and I've listened to you guys on here.
Thank
I just
you.
want to say two things quickly. Um, I know for one, I don't even call it a long-term plan anymore. It's more like the medium, nearly short-term um, is moving back, moving to the continent. At
Mm-hmm.
the end of the year, I do have to take a 13-day trip to South Africa, so I'm getting to see that a bit. And then next year, I still plan to visit a few other places on the continent. Thinking about Uganda, I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
see Rwanda, but this is where I was going with this. I agree that we do need to think of start having an exit plan. There are a couple of things, and I think somebody just came up a moment ago. Some people they want to come to the continent and see it as like a great escape where they're just going to go and there's just these golden seeds and these red carpets rolled out, and they're just so happy to have their own lost child come home, and there'll be nothing required. I think one problem is at least I'm getting a lot of feedback, so I'm waiting on myself to stop talking.
No, Rodney. Okay, you know what you're going to do? Just say what you're going to say because
Okay.
just say I
Well,
won't interrupt you and then you can just go off.
yeah, I'm going to do that word. Okay. Well, really just wanted to say this that coming back to the continent, I think there's some things that have to be put in place for us to come back there. In other words, ease of relocation, some things that make it easier to relocate. You know, even if it's not flat out citizenship, allowing residency so we can come and move into these places. Also making it easy for us to integrate into the economy so we can add to it versus dealing with a lot of the red tape we may see or the straight up corruption. I do have quite a few friends on the continent and in the different places they live, it seems like one thing, except in South Africa, they talk about is how there's so much going on, middlemen in the middle, corruption, things that have in some cases cost them a lot of money, time, and effort. And another thing that's a little disconnected from that is being here in the U.S. You know, have bought a house and I end up selling it. Glad I did that. Fact is, one thing we've done is pretty much like lighten up any of our load of things that we actually that would tie up here. So when we can't, it's time to leave, we're able to do it. The point I wanted to make about land is that even though you pay it off, and you can indeed have the deed to the title, and it's supposed to be yours. If you fail to keep up with your taxes at all, they can take your land from you. Also, I can think about the case of my father who owned his house. I'm from Detroit, and he lived near a freeway. They had been there forever, but they ended up doing something in the United States called eminent domain, and basically they kicked him out of his house. Most of the people in his neighborhood to widen the freeway, and they still haven't done it, and that's been over 10 years. So even land ownership in the United States is always with that asterisk or question mark next to it.
Yeah.
So I do believe that.
Let me ask you something.
Yes.
Yeah, from the bit I've heard you mention in the past, and even others who live, on the continent. One thing I've learned is that when you own something, for the most part, that's yours. Here, you own it unless the government decides that you shouldn't. If that makes any sense. I think things are good for generational wealth building and making money. I do believe that. But however, thinking you hold on to it forever may not work out the way you'd expect because the government is the X factor. I'm done.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much,
So,
Rodney.
what's going on, brother? Let me. You can still hear me?
Yes, we can.
You can. Yeah. So basically, yeah, he's right in saying that in America is a situation when you buy land, sometimes you don't actually own the land; you own the property on top of the land, right? Certain like if you go to like Baltimore, Maryland, pretty much the whole Baltimore. That
I'm
family of
gonna
Baltimore. When these people pay taxes, some of that money goes to the Baltimore family. That's still in the United States to this day. But certain cities, like they will tell you you don't actually own the land. You own the property on top of the land, something like that. So if you don't pay, especially property taxes, he's right. If you don't pay your property taxes, they'll just take everything from you. So you really don't own the land. You're pretty much leasing it.
And so many people have lost their land, generational land, all sorts of
But
things.
that's all I have to say.
Yeah, based on those caveats. And as long as those things are in place, to want to be one who can truly say, "Hey, I own this flat out." Yeah, we've just learned to rethink some things in my family. That's all.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much,
You're welcome.
Rodney. I'll get you up since you have feedback. I liked what he said. It's so surprising that you guys can buy land and then you have to keep paying taxes for you to continue owning the land, yet you bought the land already. Because in Africa, it's just like you buy the land and then it's your land. As long as it's in your names and you registered it in the lands office and they know this is the owner, if you don't utilize it, your family gets to utilize it. The ones who come after you get to utilize it, and no one is gonna take that land away from you unless they buy it from you. So I get so surprised that you guys have to pay to keep maintaining the land. And I know that some people saying, "Oh, but as a foreigner, you can only lease." Da, da, da. But guys, book the consultation, and I will spill the tea on how you can be able to own land as a foreigner. So I've put my link, my calendar, Google Meet link thing here, so you can be able to book a consultation right there and then we get you that piece of land that you need. Don't play with me. I excel in what I do. I want to think so, and I do know so. Anyway, the government doesn't take your house until you pay taxes. Excuse me, you guys are going through too much. That's a lot. Also, the mineral rights may not belong to you as well. You buy land, and if you find minerals on the land, it's for the government. What is that? It's your land. Anyway, I guess the differences between continents, and that's something we will get to explore. Yeah, guys, I think we're wrapping this one up. It's taken a while. There's a part 2 of this. I'm gonna bring on a Ugandan realtor, and Jason will also be in the background to like still, throw in some questions here and there, but it will be mainly the Ugandan realtor, and then it's gonna tell us about buying land, investing back in the motherland in terms of real estate. I think there's also something that's rising where people are buying apartments or condominiums. So that's also something that's happening. Maybe someone here is interested in that and they would like to know about that. So that will also be, he will be talking about that. I'm excited for that because I have something going with him in terms of business. Okay. Yeah, guys, like, subscribe, and share this live. Yes, like, subscribe, and share the live. Also, super chat. I want to give a shout out to Stuart. He's a faithful super chatter, and I appreciate that. Because yeah, this channel, yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate everyone watching. I don't take it for granted. We're gonna come back for the next one, bigger and better. I'm going to go back to doing the lives on a webcam because I'm doing the lives on the iPad, but it's easier on the webcam because then they can be edited. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. Buy some merch. Uganda looks good on me. Uganda is calling, so I must go. You can see it on my channel. You can be able to purchase some shirts. They look good. And yeah, I'm interested in learning more. I know it's late for you. Have a good night. Yeah, it is a bit because tomorrow is like a weekday, and I have to go in early because I have an early meeting. Anyway, thank you so much, guys. Jason is saying thank you. No, Jason, thank you so much. Thank you. I don't know how I'll ever repay you. Charlie, shout out to you. Thank you. Even if you couldn't join, you join next time. Stuart, thank you. Rodney, thank you. Rodney again, thank you. Denzel, thank you. If I've forgotten your name, thank you. And if you're watching, thank you. With that, I will sign out. Please subscribe. I posted a few videos and I'm not doing well. I realize it's a bit difficult on my channel. When I do a post on like Thursday and Friday, they don't do well. You guys are active at the beginning of the week. Once I don't post first Wednesday, the video flops. So anyway, I'm figuring that out. So yeah, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking time out to do this with me. I will see. Where's the March link? Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. So if I go to my channel here. Okay, hold on. I think I can find it. All I know is that once you go to my channel, it's the first thing that pops up. Oh, it's here. So if I do, okay. So how do I get this? Oh, hold on. Maybe it's like this. Oh, hold on. If you just go to my channel, I think you can find it. It's right there. Oh, Charlie, I don't know if I can share a match link. I don't think I've. Hold on. Oh, do I? Oh, okay. I see it. Okay, I see it. Okay. Let me share it here. Okay, here you go. They're nice shots. I just don't know, for some reason I'm not getting them out there. I need to like get off my ass and market them. They're amazing. I wear them all the time. My boss wears his all the time. Anyway, guys, and my friends wear them all the time. My brother wears it all the time. Anyway, oh, good. Okay, Jason, I hear you. I hear you. He will. He will. I hear you. Okay, guys, I will say bye with that, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye. Thank you so much, by the way.